very careful and very safe. So Mr. Russ has lots of great things to share with us today. So please give him a warm welcome.
All right, good morning, you guys. So I'm actually going to talk to you today as if you're sixth graders. Is that okay? Because I mean, like, you're fifth grade right now, but in 2 weeks, you're sixth grade. So just to turn to your neighbor and say, you know what? I'm kind of like a sixth grader. Good, tell them. I'm kind of like a sixth grader. So based on that, what you saw on the screen behind me was all of a sudden everything kind of disappeared, right? There were some things up there that you probably didn't really catch. But it talked about having goals. It talked about having to make choices. And you guys know if you want to get out of fifth grade and get into sixth grade, as you've been working all year, you have to make certain choices, right? Certain goals. And I want to talk to you guys about students just like yourselves in our community who are losing their choices. They don't have choices. And I'm really here to ask you guys for your help. You're going, man, I'm in fifth grade, on my way to sixth grade. What can I do to help? We're going to talk to you guys about what that looks like today, okay? So, see that word there, slavery? I want to talk to you guys a little bit about slavery, because there's a kind of slavery that's happening in our community today. I don't know what you think of when you hear the word slavery, but I want you to listen really carefully to something I'm going to say right now, and see if it makes sense to you. Ready? Namaste, my boy. Kushuki Majaki Satayane. What? What? Okay, so that wasn't gibberish. Okay? That was a real language. So let's try it again. Namaste, my boy. Kushuki Majaki Satayane. It's not French, not Japanese, not Chinese. No. When I was in fifth grade, I lived in the country of India. Not the state of Indiana, the country. Do I look Indian to you? Okay, so I'm not Indian. I'm American. I happen to be living in India. And my understanding of slavery came from living in the country of India. And you guys, what I understood from slavery was this, that basically people are considered to be property. One person owns and buys and sells another person. So go ahead and take a look at the tips of your fingers. I'm pretty sure nobody is bleeding. None of you see bones sticking out of your fingers. None of you have ligaments. You guys, when I was in India, we would go into places related to slavery called a sweatshop. Now, a sweatshop is not hot yoga, okay? It's not exercise. The sweatshop is a place where students your age and younger were forced to work 7 days a week, sometimes 14, 16, 18 hours a day. And here's what we would see. We would see students your age and younger, and their hands would be wrapped in gauze because they've been bleeding. Because the work they were being forced to do as slaves in the sweatshop was they were making carpets. And so all day long they would run their hands over fibers making a carpet. So the way you make a handmade carpet is, let's say the carpet's going to be 8 feet by 6 feet. So there'd be a wood frame 8 feet by 6 feet. And you would start with these long cords hanging from the top. And then you would build a carpet with whatever custom. So let's say it's going to be a cotton carpet. So you would take cotton strands, and all day long, these kids would run their hands along this carpet. Do you think that there's a kind of slavery in our community today? Do you think we have slavery in our community? Like, do you think there's sweatshops? Okay, well, there aren't, thankfully. But if I came here and I said, hey guys, there's slavery happening right here in our community, and I'm here to ask you guys to help me end it. How many of you would be like, yeah, we need to end this. We need to get rid of this. Okay? I am here to tell you there is a kind of slavery happening in our community, but it looks completely different than what you might think it looks like, okay? And what we're going to talk about is how you guys can help us end this kind of slavery. So I'm going to introduce the kind of slavery that we're talking about today through this video right here, so check this out.
sold, forced to work. Millions. That's the number of slaves today. Billions. More money than you can comprehend. That's what's being made off of slaves each year worldwide. What if the land of the free is the home of the slave? For hundreds of thousands of people living here on American soil, on American streets, in American neighborhoods, this is a reality. We've been taught that slavery ended in 1865, but today it has a different name. Human trafficking. People from other countries are being brought here to be exploited. And yet, the majority of traffic victims in our country are Americans. Many of whom are being exploited for sex. I need you to understand, the average age of these victims is 13 years old. These are our friends. They're your classmates. It's affecting so many people and so many lives. What do we do about it? How do we help this? How do we fix it? You gotta know what's going on. You gotta see what's happening around you. You can choose to fight back. It stops with you. It stops with us. It stops with me.
So you guys, today we're talking about a really, really heavy topic that you guys can totally handle as 5th graders, almost 6th graders. And as an adult male, I'm here to ask you guys for your help to end the kind of trafficking and kind of slavery that we call domestic minor sex trafficking. And this is happening in some really horrific ways. Now, I'm 5th grade, 6th grade. How can I make a difference in this? And that's what I want to educate you about today and what I want to empower you about today. And as you already heard, here's what we're going to talk about, because I want to be really honest with you. Where we're going to head in our discussion is I want to give you a little bit of understanding of what this kind of slavery looks like. And then I want to give you guys some insight into how you can help. And what we're going to talk about is social media. Okay? One of the things that I do in my work is I get to talk to students like you guys and try to educate you, empower you how to be safer. One of the horrific things that I have to do is I have to talk to students who've gotten in a lot of trouble through social media, and their lives have really been ruined. And I want to make sure that this doesn't happen to you guys or any of your friends. And so we're kind of setting the foundation now that will carry you on into 6th grade next year and on into middle school and high school and the rest of your life, okay? There's a friend of mine named Melissa. And Melissa is what we call a victim of this kind of slavery, okay? So what happened with Melissa was communicating with someone that she thought she knew on social media, and this person completely was not who he said he was. You're going to meet Melissa. You're not going to see her face because we're protecting her identity, but you're going to hear her voice. You're going to hear her talking, and Melissa's going to tell you a little bit about her story about when she first met this person that she thought she knew through social media. So here's Melissa talking to this guy.
My friend left and he started telling me how beautiful I was and started asking me questions about my family. I thought my life was horrible, my parents were horrible, my life sucked because I couldn't stay out till 11 o'clock at night, like my friends could, or I couldn't go to the clubs that my friends went to, or I couldn't do, it was always comparing what I couldn't do to what my friends could do. So as soon as I started saying that, it was, oh, you were so beautiful, I love you should come to Seattle with me and come meet my family, I want to be with you. He told me we were just going to be there for the weekend. As I was growing up, I always was looking for some kind of positive attention from a male. Just, to tell me I was beautiful or that he loved me. And so he started, I just was like, oh, this is it, everything I wanted. I wanted somebody that would tell me these things and treat me the way that he had. We got to Seattle and we checked into a hotel. And he made me leave all my stuff in the car and which I thought, was weird, but didn't want to say anything because at that point he hadn't given me any reason to feel that I couldn't trust him. So we went to the hotel room, and he dumped out a duffel bag onto the bed, and in it was a bleaching kit and some rope, and he tied me to a chair in the hotel room and bleached my hair. While I was sitting in the chair with the bleach on my hair, I started crying and told him I wanted to leave, and he told me that I wasn't going anywhere. And he went through my purse. He took my ID, my social security card, my debit cards, my cell phone, everything I had. And he told me if I left, that he knew my address, and that he would go and he would find me, he would hurt my family, and that he would kill me.
So you guys hear all Melissa's doing is on social media, hanging out on an app, chatting with somebody that she thought she knew who he was. And one thing led to the other, and all of a sudden now she's in Seattle. So I grew up in the country of India, but I went to college in Seattle. That's over 2,000 miles away from here. And you want to know what happened with Melissa? He didn't drag her there. She was a 14-year-old girl when this happened. She went willingly. And here's why she went willingly. See, every one of us, it's hard to see that up there, but every one of us in life, we have desires, which are things we like, and we have dissatisfactions, things that we're not happy about. And here's one of the things that we found with Melissa. She had all these different things. She was craving attention from a guy. She was not happy with her rules. So don't answer this out loud. Just kind of internally answer this for yourself. But have you ever felt like no one understands me? Like I'm 5th grade going into 6th grade, and no one understands me, especially the stinking adults in my life. Why don't the adults get it? They just don't get it. Well, I'm going to give you guys a little insight into why that is, okay? So who can tell me what a neuroscientist does? Anybody raise your hand. What does a neuroscientist do? So a neuroscientist studies the human brain. Okay? Here's what the neuroscientists tell us. The neuroscientists tell us that the human brain, especially what's called the frontal cortex, where you make all your decisions, it's not fully developed until you're like 25 or 27 years old. So it takes 217,000 hours of lived life for your brain to be fully developed. You guys are in 5th grade going into 6th grade. So this is not a put down, and I'm not slamming you guys, when right now I want you to turn to your neighbor and tell them, you're just a half brain. Good, tell them, you're just a half brain. You are just a half brain, right? So it's not a put down. Now you can use it like a put down if you want to. You can get carried away with it. But just remember, you are a half brain calling someone else a half brain, so the joke's on everybody, right? So here's a kinder, gentler way of putting this. The science says you're a half brain. All it does is explain you're growing up. Here's what I want you to get. Sometimes there's a disconnect, and it's really tough for a half brain to fully communicate with and understand a full brain. Okay? So when an adult says something to you and you're going, nobody understands me, especially adults. Now you understand why. Here is why I'm telling you this. You guys in 5th grade, like 5th graders never before you, including your older siblings, have a way to communicate with people all around the world. And here's the challenge. Through social media, students like yourselves are sharing way too much information with people online through social media. And here's the horrific thing that I have to be here to tell you. And I hate this part of my job, but this is what I have to do. As an adult male, I need to inform you that there are people who want to harm students. And they know that you all are puking your lives out on social media. My mom's stupid, and I do not not want to take the math test tomorrow. Put that out there. And somebody responds, well, I'm sorry your mom's stupid. I hate math too. You have no clue who this person is. Maybe you start communicating back and forth. And you guys, I'm here to tell you, and I'm here to ask you to please be very careful who and how you share your desires, the things that you're happy with, and your dissatisfactions, the things that you're not happy with in life. Because right now what's happening is we're putting way too much stuff on social media. And that's what happened with Melissa. All of a sudden, she's 2,000 miles away. See, what you don't know about Melissa is that in this conversation with this guy, it lasted for months. She thought he was another 14-year-old boy. Turns out he wasn't. And at some point in the conversation, she finds with this guy that he says he's actually a young adult male in his early 20s. And she says, you know, I've always loved Seattle. I heard it's really pretty out there. And this guy says, she's thinking he's a 14-year-old boy, Melissa, no wait, we're going to be going on a family trip to Seattle in 3 weeks. Do you want to come? And Melissa, at this point, she's fully invested because she's like, she's working her fingers to the bone, texting and, doing all this stuff. She says, yeah, I'd love to go. He didn't drag her there. After she got to Seattle, this is one thing one look at. Why is he dyeing her hair? He's trying to hide her identity. Why does he want to hide her identity? Because he was a male predator looking to hurt a child. This is why I need you guys to understand how important your behavior on social media is. I need you guys to pay attention to this, okay? Here's the thing. I've got another friend of mine who, when she was 12 years old, she lived here in our community. She's boy crazy. She met a guy that she thought was going to be really great. As chances are, he also pretended like he was a 14-year-old boy. So my friend decided that she was really into him. So the boy kept bugging her. I need to see some pictures of you. So she started taking some hot selfies. And she started sending this guy pictures. And this lasted for months. And finally the guy's like, oh my word, you're so amazing. Beautiful eyes, and your smile, and you're so hilarious, you're funny, I can't stand it. We've got to meet in person. So my 12-year-old friend went to 3 of her 12-year-old girlfriends, and they said, let's go to the mall. We're going to meet these boys. So they told the parents, hey, we want to go to the mall. They didn't tell their parents they were going to go meet boys. So the parents said, okay, let's get you guys to the mall. So the parents took them to the mall, and they said, all right, we're going to drop you off at noon at Orange Julius, and we're picking you up in 2 hours. And if you're not back in 2 hours, you're like grounded for life, right? You hear your parents say that, okay? The girls are all excited to get to the mall, and they get to Orange Julius, and the 14-year-old boy ended up being a 21-year-old man with 2 of his friends. Now, in that moment, my friends should have turned tail and left. But they're so cute. Oh my word, these guys are so cute, and they're spending money on us, and they're funny, and it was all good, innocent fun for like 30 minutes. And then the guy who was supposed to be 14 is really 21. You guys, he took my friend and he said, I want to spend some time alone with you. And he walked her out of the mall into his Tahoe on rims in the parking lot, where he put my friend in the back seat, and he really hurt her. And my friend came back into the mall at 2 o'clock to meet her parents, and she was scared, she was hurt, she was embarrassed. She never felt more alone in her life because she didn't know who she could talk to. Can't tell my parents. How can you be so stupid talking to this guy for like months? You didn't tell us? You line this whole thing up to the mall to like meet this guy? What's wrong with you? This is what she's thinking is going to happen. So she says nothing. 2 hours after she's home, all of her social media apps open up. And it's this guy. And he sent her all the pictures because he was taking pictures of what he had done to her in the car. And he said, if you ever tell anybody, I'm going to show these pictures. And he started naming all the important people in her life. Do you know how he knew all the important people in her life were? Because she told him through social media. The next day, all our social media apps blow up, and he says this, you are for sale. She didn't have a clue what that meant. But tragically, she found out. And this man began selling my friend as a victim to the kind of slavery that we're talking about called domestic minor sex trafficking from the time she was 12 years old until 3 weeks before her 18th birthday. Just became her life. It started with social media. This is her comment. You can kind of read it there at the bottom. She said this. She said, Russ, she said, he sold me dreams. See, when you're a 12-year-old girl doing stuff on social media, just kind of goofing off, it's like it all seems so great and fun and no big deal, but the problem was that she didn't really know who she was talking to. So she got into a really, really difficult situation. Found herself in a really tough spot. So I don't want you to get all freaked out today and scared to use social media, because I'm not here to take social media away. I'm not here to scare you of adults. I'm not here to scare you to go places. But I want to give you a brief picture of what people look like who we would call slave owners, or they're also called pimps or traffickers, sometimes called spotters. They look like everyday, normal, real people. And this is why we really have to use wisdom, because one of the things I'm dealing with right now, I was actually just telling one of your counselors here at the school, I had to deal with a situation yesterday afternoon in a school presentation that I did, and a young girl there made mistakes and took some pictures of herself and put them out there online, and a boy in the school decided that he could own her in their high school as high school freshmen. And you guys, the horrific things that started to happen to this poor girl are now ongoing things that we're having to deal with, and so we really, really need to pay attention to this stuff, okay? I want you guys to understand something, that this is not just an issue that is we have to pay attention to as girls, because boys, I want you guys to know that, especially if you spend a lot of time gaming, and there's some things, I want to warn you boys to be really, really careful, because you guys are getting these chat rooms and stuff like that, trying to figure out how to get to the next level of the game and stuff, and you guys, I want you to know that sometimes there are people there who are predators, looking to hurt boys through that realm as well. So if you don't really know who you're chatting with, it's really, really advisable that you just don't go to these places, okay? Because here's the reality, you guys. There's some bad people out there who want to hurt kids. How many of you like Coke? Yeah? Coca-Cola product? So I was in India, where I grew up, and this was several years ago as an adult, and it was really, really hot day there, and I was downtown the capital city, New Delhi, India, and it was one of those days where it's hot enough to where, you know how it is when you bend over, sweat's dripping off your nose, you know what I'm talking about, you got that kind of hot. So, and I was out of water, so there was a street vendor, and he was selling bottles of cola out of ice buckets. I was like, oh my God, I'm so thirsty. So I was like, I'm going to buy 2 of them. I'm going to drink one really fast because I'm just kind of parched, and then I'm going to enjoy the second one. So I bought 2 of them. And so, have you ever chugged a cola really, really fast, right? So you know what happens, right? Your eyes kind of water. Yeah, your nose burns, your nose kind of foams, your throat's burning, right? This whole thing. So I am chugging this cola, right? I am downing this cola. I'm chugging it, I'm like, I'm chugging this cola, and somehow there's going to be a dead cockroach in my mouth. process of making the cola, somehow, I don't know, a cockroach got in the bottle of cola, and I'm drinking the thing so fast that all of a sudden I've got this cola and cockroach in my mouth. So I'm dry heaving, right? So my eyes are watering, and my nose is foaming, and my throat's burning, and all of a sudden I'm like dry So a cockroach, you guys, has a hardback shell, but then the underbelly is really kind of soft and squishy and kind of like secreting just like nasty stuff. So it's just kind of like, so I've got this fizzy, foamy stuff going on in my mouth, and then it's like and I reached in because I didn't know what it was, right? And I'm like, so you see the little legs? So they're kind of like really hard. So I'm reaching into like a cockroach out of my mouth. And the leg, like one of the legs got caught on my lip, and it's like, oh, it's like so gross. So I'm like, ugh. So here's this dead cockroach. So on the count of 3, I would like for all of you to say, cola and cockroach. Are you ready? On the count of 3, cola and cockroach. 1, 2, 3. All right, very good. Now, at lunch today, when you're sitting in the cafeteria, whoever you're sitting across from, you have an assignment. Before they start to eat, I want you to stare very awkwardly at, this is kind of creepy, right? Stare very awkwardly at their mouth. This is creepy, right? Just straight up, this right here, this is creepy. Like, stare at their mouth, and when they put a bite of food in their mouth, you are going to say, cockroach. Okay? And then be prepared, because they will dive across the table and stab you in the neck with a fork or whatever they have. Because they're going to be like, you're disgusting, that's gross, why would you do that? And you're going to be like, well, didn't you hear the weird blonde guy say that I'm supposed to do this? And you're like, oh yeah. Here's the point. Why am I talking? If there's one thing I want you to remember from today, it is cola and cockroach. And here's why. In the context of what I'm trying to warn you guys about, it works like this. Listen. If all you have in your diet is cola, you're not going to be very healthy. But cola is okay in moderation. In context of what we're talking about today, where I'm trying to keep you guys safer and help you have your friends be safer, I desperately need you to grasp this fact. Cola represents your social media and online screen time. It's okay in moderation. We're not trying to take it away from you. But I need you to beware the cockroach factor, because here's the thing, you guys, as an adult male, I have to tell you that there are adults who are looking to harm students, and the number one way that they can find students to exploit is through social media. This is the pattern. This is why I need you to be aware of it, okay? So it's this easy to use the internet and social media to fake kids out.
Meeting a teen girl online is actually pretty easy. You can go into any chat room and just start talking. Most of the girls are usually so insecure and desperate for
attention from older guys is totally flattering. They're so much more mature and understanding than the guys my age.
Age actually works to my advantage. They like to brag to their friends that they're dating an older guy, so I just play along and pretend I'm really interested.
Interested in the same things I am. You can talk forever and really get to know someone without worrying about looks or whatever. That's the best thing about
chatting seems unthreatening to them, so they lower their guard. After a while, I start talking about how we're soulmates and how lucky we are to have found each other.
Other people don't understand. I know what I'm doing. If you really care about each other, there's nothing wrong with me.
Meeting them is the goal. Once I get them out of their house, well, that's when things get really interesting.
So half-brain kid says there's nothing wrong with meeting them, but they're communicating with a full-brain adult who happens to be a predator, and he's saying getting you out of the house and meeting you is the goal. why it's really, really crucial and important, you guys, that in social media, you understand this very simple concept. If you don't know them, like you can't look them in the eye, and the adults in your life don't know who they are, then you should be communicating with them. So how many of you have social media? How many hands up you're active on social media? Okay. A good majority of you. How many of you, within the last 2 weeks, someone has come into your social media life and you had no clue who they were? Okay? So I want you to know something. You haven't done anything wrong. You can put your hands down. You haven't done anything wrong because that's what social media is designed to do. But it's not designed for half-brains to be communicating with people who we don't know who they are. Does that make sense? So I really need you guys to pay attention to this and take it seriously for so many reasons. Here's what I want you guys to understand. There are predators out there, and I'm going to read this to you because it's a big room, small screen. Hey, Debbie, it's me, Tim. Are you still on for tomorrow? Debbie says, yeah, I can't believe we're going to meet at last. Look how old this technology is. Tim says, me too, I can't wait. Debbie says, only my school uniform is kind of dorky, so don't freak. Tim, I'll be in mine too. You probably think I look like a geek. Debbie's like, doubt it. All my friends bet you're cute in real life. Look at this old computer, you guys. So Tim's like, I gotta go, mom's coming. She'd kill me if she knew we were doing this. So like half-brain knows he's doing something wrong. Debbie says, mine too. See you tomorrow at the park. Don't be late. Bye, Debbie.
You've seen what's on his screen.
Yes. I bet you're cute in real life, too.
Imagine what's on his mind.
Ew! Debbie is a dude! So Timmy's using this old computer that doesn't even know what GPS is, as an old example, okay? Has no clue. And if it's that easy for Debbie to fake out little Timmy, how much easier now with our technology today? And this is what's happening. These are the patterns that are being used to begin to exploit students. And so I really need you guys to be careful and understand that this is a reality. It's the cola and the cockroach factor. So let's talk about sexting. So kids are taking their clothes off and posting pictures of themselves. And what happens is then those pictures end up going places where a lot of people don't really think they should. Here's what I need you to understand. Anytime any person, anywhere on the planet, including all of you, if you are ever involved in participating in those kinds of pictures, whether you're taking it of yourself or you're sharing it with someone or you got a picture of someone else and you share it, you need to hear me carefully. By federal law, you are a child pornographer. That is punishable by federal law. Now we're thinking, oh, I'm just be all goofy, I'm even like, oh, click, click, and I'm gonna send it off. You guys, once things are out there on social media, we have no control over it. So if you've got friends that are doing those kinds of activities, hear me carefully. It's not a put down, but as a half-brain, there comes a level of trauma with these kinds of images coming through your social media life that you simply are not equipped to deal with. And it's not a put down, it's the science. So I desperately need you to go to a trusted adult and say, listen, here's some images that have come across, I need help. One of the things you guys need to know, your 5th graders going into 6th grade, is, because I've talked to so many students about this issue, that someday you guys are going to want to get jobs. And it's really important that you get good grades. Someday you'll build what's called a resume. You'll have references. And all those things are really important. But in the job market today, nothing is more important than social media. Because you know why? The first place people who want to hire somebody go is to social media. I'm telling you this in 5th and 6th grade now because I want you to take that as a positive message. You know what? The rest of my school career, I'm going to make sure that my social media activity is actually going to set me up for success and not potentially derail my efforts to get a job. Here's what I want you guys to focus on. My friend right here, Jesse Logan. Jesse was older than you guys and should have known better, but Jesse had a boyfriend that she thought she could trust. And this boyfriend got all whiny on her. Oh, well, if you really love me, you'd take your clothes off and send me the picture. If you really cared about my feelings. And you know what? It drove her nuts. She knew better, and she knew that she deserved a better guy than that. Because ladies, let me tell you something right now in 5th and 6th grade. If at some point in your life some guy comes into your life and that's all he cares about from you, hear me ladies, you don't need that guy. Okay? You don't need that guy. She took the picture, and as so often happens, they broke up. He shared the pictures, they went everywhere, and everybody saw the pictures that Jesse had taken, and she got so depressed, and she couldn't get help that she needed. And her own dad had to find her hanging in a bedroom. She took her life, you guys. One of the very first things that Melissa said in her video way back that I showed you about 25 minutes ago was she said this. She said, "My friends left me." I'm here to tell you guys to pay attention to each other, what's happening in your lives, in person and on social media. Because here's the thing, you guys. Sadly, from students in 6th grade through 12th grade in the last 6 years, the suicide rate in America has gone up 20%. And the level of depression amongst our peers has gone up 40%. We've never been more connected with the world than ever through social media, and we've never been more alone than we are right now. So I desperately need you guys in 5th and 6th grade to understand the reality and the role that social media plays in your life and the life of your friends. And make sure that you're dealing with this appropriately and properly, because here's the thing. 88% of the time, when person A says, "I'm going to take my clothes off for whatever reason," click, and I'm going to send it to person B for whatever reason. 88% of the time, that's not what happens. 88% of the time, a whole bunch of people end up seeing that picture. See, the Internet Watch Foundation does studies on this. See, not only can we do nothing online that is hidden, in reality, everything we do is seen. Every single click of your mouse is tracked somewhere. And that's how they know that 88% of the time these images are seen by a whole bunch of people. You guys really, really have to be careful with this. I'm going to show you guys a video here that's got some slightly newer technology than the last video I showed you. And there's a really cool purpose for this we're going to talk about. So there's a BlackBerry phone, and you're going to see some flip phones. So this girl's doing her homework, and she gets this message that says, "Need to see you now, send me a hot pic." Do you send it? So she made the right choice, but let's see what could have happened if she made a bad choice.
Forget?
So he gets the pictures. Do you think he should show his friends? Well, you no longer have a choice.
Check this out. Yo, what up? Whoa! Oh man! Yo, send that to me real quick. I'm not gonna. Come on, send that to me.
Should he pass it on? Decisions out of your hands now.
Yo, you want right straight? Look at that. Check that out, boys. I got it. I had to send this to Mark. Send that out now.
That's her little brother. That's her mom. That is not her dad. See, what happens is, you guys, increasingly what's happening is we're making mistakes as students, and we're taking the kind of pictures that we call hot pics or nudes, and we're sharing them, and here's what's happening. We think that it's only going to be seen by maybe one friend or whoever we're going to send that picture to, but what happens is a whole bunch of people see it, and here's a trend. See, one of the things I have to do is I work with people who are like in cyber crimes and FBI and Homeland Security, because I told you as an adult male, I have to be here to tell you that there are people who want to harm students. So law enforcement's trying to find these people who are trying to hurt kids. The problem is so many students are taking so many pictures of themselves and posting them out there that in these official investigations, the way the web works, when things go, as you guys know, what's called viral, images that we don't intend for anyone to see are actually getting caught up in these investigations. To where an example like this, the brother sees it, the mom sees it, and a predator who's out there and his full-time job is just to scour social media looking for students that they can exploit through their vulnerabilities that we are sharing online, because we're not understanding the COLA factor. It's okay in moderation, but there are cockroaches, there are predators out there. So this is where I need you guys to be careful, because cyberbullying has become a real thing. And I need you guys to help your friends be safe. When you know your friends have made mistakes or things on social media, that is not the time to shame them. That's not the time to start making fun of them. That's the time, and this is not a put down, as a half-brain, to get adult help. And you got a great school here with amazing adults here that will help you guys with all this stuff. And so you need to take advantage of that, okay? So please do that. Please take advantage of those things. So I want to give you guys real quickly a rhythm of safety. And a rhythm of safety looks like this. Don't communicate with strangers online. Now, most of you raised your hand, and honestly, it happened to me yesterday morning. People came into my social media world, I had no clue who they were. It doesn't mean I have to communicate with them, and I didn't. Don't meet someone in person that you first meet online. And I talked to you a lot about taking our clothes off and sending pictures to people. Here's why it's critically important that we understand this. I need you guys to help your friends be safe. You guys, right now I'm working with two 12-year-old girls, and both 12-year-old girls have the same desire. They wanted attention. Desperately needed attention. So the one girl decided she was going to take her clothes off and send a picture through an app that allows us to rate people as hot or not hot. And the one 12-year-old girl, everybody rated her as hot. I mean, not just hot, smoking hot. And And as this 12-year-old girl, she had instant gratification. She felt good for about 30 minutes. And then it started getting out of control. And then all the body shaming comments started, and on and on and on and on it went. And now, all of a sudden, she realized over 1,700 people have seen her picture. And this is not what she signed up for. And so right now, we've got a 12-year-old girl who is in counseling on suicide watch because she was looking for attention and tried to get it through social media, and it went bad. I've got another 12-year-old girl who had the exact same story. Wanted attention, took the picture, sent it. But a group of mean girls at school who don't like her, they got a hold of it first. And they immediately rated her not hot. And my little friend was so depressed. But guess what happened? One person responded, "You're hot. I think you're amazing." Turns out, he was an adult male predator. And you know what? The same situation, the same 12-year-old girl is also in counseling, and they're trying to convince her that her life is worth living. You guys, social media has a tremendous amount of power that we can utilize for fun things. It's a cola. It can be used in moderation, but I'm begging you guys to be careful with how you use it. And don't take the kinds of pictures that we've been talking about. And don't share the kinds of pictures we've been talking about if they come through. When that happens, that is the time where I desperately need for you to say it's time to bring in some help from adults. That's the time. I want to help you guys understand a few things. I have to talk to you guys real briefly about pornography. We're seeing pornography at younger and younger ages, and here's what pornography teaches us. It teaches us that other people are simply a sport and a property. So honestly, this is why we have apps where we rate each other as hot or not, because this is what we're learning how to do. And it tells us that our value only depends on how attractive a certain industry tells us that we are. I'm going to tell you guys that those things are a lie, because there's a challenge. The earlier we are exposed to pornography in our lives, remember I told you guys that we're half-brains? As our brains continue to develop, what pornography does is it releases what's called a feel-good hormone called dopamine in our brain. And what happens with too much use of porn at younger and younger ages, the same neuroscientists that tell us it takes 217,000 hours of lived life for our brains to be developed, they are concerned now because they see this kind of use among students your age, younger and older. It's kind of rewiring our brains. And it's teaching us things about members of the opposite sex that are just straight up wrong. So here's the challenge. What it's doing to guys is it makes us think that there's a level of perfection we'll never find. Because the people that I'm hanging around in real life, what I see on my screen is nothing like this. And there's a reason for that, fellas. It's because what you're seeing through porn online is a lie. The impact on ladies is that this is in part why guys are increasingly asking girls to take their clothes off and send the pictures, because this is what porn kind of teaches them to do. And girls are responding because one of the things that porn is teaching is that if you want to be expected, if you are respected and cared for, then these are the activities you engage in. And you guys, it's a lie. So please don't fall for this lie. You remember my friend I told you guys about at the start of the presentation? She was 12 years old. She was boy crazy. She thought her friend was 14. They met at the mall. You remember her? This is my friend. When she was 14 years old, the colleges finally had to quit paying any attention to her. When she was only 10, college scouts were actually watching her play softball, and college scouts can't officially offer a 10-year-old kid anything, but she was such a good softball player that it was very clear that her entire life was like set. She could get college ride anywhere she wanted to. And you know what happened to her story. I told you she became a victim and her entire life was ruined. At the age of 16, this is my friend. 2 years after this picture was taken, she finally was able to get out of this horrific life. But here's what happened, you guys. Because of the years of every single day being a slave, and her wounds were not bandages around her fingers from making carpets in India. Her wounds were so much more horrific. Being bought and sold and hurt every day of her life. And this is where it left my friend. KU Medical Hospital. The life killed her heart. She had 5% heart function. This is a picture of her on the morning of her 22nd birthday. It took them 45 minutes to bring her back to life. She was in the hospital for weeks, suffering because of the things that she endured from the time she was 12 until 3 weeks before her 18th birthday. This is my friend. It's really hard to see on the wall on the screen, but around here, can I see where that? 24/7, 365, she has to wear 10 pounds of batteries around her waist. And those batteries operate a little machine right here, and out of that machine, there's a cord that goes into the side of her body, up into her chest cavity, and it's connected to a little machine that is a mechanical heart. It's the only thing that's keeping her alive. She's a 23-year-old woman today, still struggling to overcome all the horrific things that happened to her that she didn't deserve. And every time I go do a presentation anywhere, I send her a text and say, hey, I'm going to talk to some students, and I did it yesterday, and I did it again last night, so I'm going to be talking to some 5th and 6th graders today. What do you want to tell them? And it's the exact same message every time, and here's what she wants you to know. She is telling you this. Please be careful on social media. It's not a joke. That's where she got in trouble. And it took her entire teenage years away from her. And the second thing she wants you to know is this. Is I want you students to please watch out for each other in person and online. Because she says this to me all the time. Russ, I've always wondered what would have happened if my friends had let me walk out of the mall with that guy. We're never going to know that answer. Okay? So I desperately need you guys to understand this. The message from my friend is this. Social media is not a joke. Use all the things we talked about today. All right. Real quickly, get your pens and pencils out. I have a survey you're going to take. So your teachers are going to be handing those out to you. Do not write your name on the paper. This is the one time in school that you do not write your name on the paper, and you do not write your school name, okay? This is a completely anonymous survey that you will fill out and will be collected, and it goes to the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and it helps us understand student patterns and what's happening. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do a really fun video at the end, and you will be dismissed. Okay? So get those filled out really quickly, flip them over, turn them back in, and we'll continue. when you get those filled out, we'll turn it back in. You guys have done an amazing job paying attention today. I'm really proud of all of you. This is a tough topic. You guys have handled it really, really well. I knew you would, because you guys always do a great job at the school. So we get all those collected. And the last thing we're going to do is I'm going to record you guys, and you are going to say this. Not in my life, which means it's like personal responsibility. Not in my school, I'm going to watch out for my friends. Not in my future, so I'm going to carry this on through 6th grade, 7th grade, all through my life. And then you're going to say cola and cockroach, and then after you say cola and cockroach, you're going to make amazing vomit sounds. Yeah, it's going to be not in my life, not in my school, not in my future, cola and cockroach, and it looks something like this. This is the school I was just at yesterday afternoon. So you're going to say, not in my life, not in my school, not in my future, cola and cockroach, and then, all right, so everybody stand on your feet. Stand up, and we go, not in my life, when I count to 3. Not in my life, not in my school, not in my future, cola and the cockroach, and they go, all right, so here we go, 1, 2, 3. You guys are awesome! Fire!
You've heard Russ talk about some pretty deep, heavy things this morning. I'm going to be very honest with you. You might be sitting there thinking, oh, he's talking about KU medicine, that's way over there, and he's probably not even talking about things that happen in Kansas City. He's not talking about things that just happen in Kansas City. As your principal and as your counselors, it happens here in Fort Osage. It happens here at Fire Prairie. I know, because I'm the principal and I deal with those things when they come up, okay? So if you were sitting there thinking that, well, it's not going to happen to me, and happens in Texas probably. Nope. Right here where we live. Right here with the people that we're sitting in this room with. So look out for each other, take care of each other, okay? We're counting on you to help each other. And be careful of all the things that you talked about today, okay? Because all of the adults in this building love you very much and want you to be safe and wants you to be able to have the opportunities that you've heard about some other young people who have now grown a little bit. Their opportunities were taken away from them. Okay? Let's give Russ a Timberwolf applause for his time today and sharing his stuff with us. That was Timberwolf. Okay, thank you. We will begin our dismissal process in just a second.